Hey everyone, welcome back to Rewilding the Future. Today we're talking about the Griffon Vulture is one of the largest Old World vultures, a species that embodies the power and mystery of the skies. Belonging to the family Accipitridae, it is a heavy-bodied raptor with long, broad wings perfectly adapted for soaring flight. Adults typically measure between 93 to 110 centimeters in body length, with a wingspan that can reach an impressive 2.4 to 2.8 meters, making it one of Europe's largest birds. Males and females look similar, though females are slightly larger. They weigh 6 to 11 kilograms on average. Their plumage is mostly pale brown, with darker flight feathers and a white ruff of feathers encircling their long neck. The bare, whitish head and neck reduce feather fouling when feeding on carcasses, while their strong hooked beak allows them to tear into tough hides. The Griffon vulture inhabits open mountainous regions, cliffs, canyons, and high plateaus. It requires cliffs for nesting and roosting, as well as access to open landscapes where carrion is easier to locate. Its range includes southern Europe, North Africa, the Middle East, and parts of Asia, extending into the Caucasus and Himalayas. Vultures are highly dependent on thermal air currents to glide for hours without flapping, conserving energy while searching vast areas for food. They thrive in areas where large wild or domestic herbivores live, as their survival depends on carrion availability. As obligate scavengers, Griffon vultures feed almost exclusively on carrion. They prefer large mammal carcasses, such as cattle, sheep, goats, deer, and wild boar, but will also consume smaller animals when available. They are highly social feeders, often descending in large numbers to strip a carcass clean in minutes. Their stomach acid is extremely powerful, allowing them to digest decayed meat and even bones that would be lethal to most other animals. This unique adaptation makes them vital in ecosystems, as they prevent the spread of disease by quickly removing rotting remains. Griffon vultures are intensely social, living in colonies that may number in the hundreds. They nest on cliffs in loose colonies, with each pair defending a small nesting site but tolerating close neighbors. Mating pairs are monogamous and often remain together for life. Courtship displays involve aerial acrobatics and mutual preening. Breeding begins in winter, with females laying a single white egg in a nest of sticks placed on a cliff ledge. Both parents incubate the egg for 50 to 58 days, and after hatching, they feed the chick through regurgitation. The fledgling remains dependent for several months, with parents providing care until it learns to soar and feed independently. Adult Griffon vultures have few natural predators due to their size and cliff nesting habits. Eggs and chicks may occasionally fall victim to ravens, foxes, or other opportunistic predators. The greatest threats, however, are human-driven, poisoning, both intentional and unintentional, habitat loss, shortage of carrion due to declining wild ungulates or sanitary regulations removing livestock carcasses, and collisions with power lines or wind turbines. Lead poisoning from ingesting fragments of bullets and carcasses is another major issue. The Griffon vulture is part of a lineage of Old World vultures that evolved alongside mammalian megafauna. Fossil evidence shows that vultures thrived during the Pleistocene, feeding on the remains of large herbivores like aurochs, bison, and wild horses. Their soaring lifestyle and communal feeding behavior evolved as an efficient strategy to exploit unpredictable and widely scattered carcasses. Over millennia, they became indispensable to the balance of ecosystems, acting as nature's sanitation service. Their decline in modern times marks a disruption of a system that has existed since prehistoric eras. Historically, the Griffon vulture's range covered nearly all of southern Europe, North Africa, the Middle East, and much of Central Asia. In Europe, populations once stretched as far north as Germany and Poland. However, persecution, poisoning, and habitat changes led to dramatic declines, with many populations disappearing from Central and Northern Europe by the 19th and 20th centuries. Today, they are largely restricted to Spain, France, the Balkans, Turkey, and parts of Asia, though reintroduction projects are restoring them to areas such as the Alps and Israel. Vultures have often been misunderstood in human culture, symbolizing death and decay. In Europe, they were long persecuted due to fear and superstition, despite their ecological importance. In contrast, in ancient cultures such as Egypt and among Zoroastrians in Persia and India, vultures held sacred roles. They were seen as purifiers, recycling death into new life and carrying souls to the afterlife. Their soaring presence in the skies has inspired myths of spiritual guardians and intermediaries between the heavens and earth. The global population of Griffon vultures is estimated at over 200,000 individuals, with Spain alone hosting the majority of Europe's vultures. Populations in the Balkans, Middle East, and Asia are smaller and more fragmented, often requiring conservation intervention. While the species as a whole is listed as least concerned by the IUCN due to its stronghold in Iberia, many regional populations remain fragile or threatened. Local extinctions still occur where threats are uncontrolled. Rewilding projects have become crucial for the Griffon vulture's recovery. In the 20th century, populations in France, the Alps, and Israel nearly disappeared, but targeted reintroductions and supplemental feeding programs brought them back. For example, the Gorges de Verdun in France and the Alps rewilding projects have successfully re-established breeding colonies. In Israel, vultures are bred in captivity and released into the wild to restore populations along migration routes. Future rewilding efforts focus on restoring vulture-friendly landscapes by protecting cliff habitats, reintroducing large herbivores, which provide natural carcasses, and reducing poisoning risks. Supplementary feeding stations, known as vulture restaurants, are also used to ensure food availability in landscapes where carrion is scarce. Protecting vultures is not just about saving a single species. It is about restoring the ecological balance of entire regions, keeping ecosystems clean and healthy, and reconnecting people with the role of scavengers as guardians of life. The Griffon vulture is more than a scavenger. It is a guardian of the skies and a healer of the land. By cleaning the earth of decay, these birds protect entire ecosystems from disease and keep the balance of life intact. Once nearly lost across much of Europe and the Middle East, they are now soaring again thanks to rewilding and conservation. Their survival reminds us that when we choose to protect the wild, we also protect ourselves. Do you think Griffon vultures should be reintroduced to more of their ancient range? Subscribe to Rewilding the Future for more stories of lost species returning to the wild and wildlife profile.